How's it going, everybody? It's Aaron the Pedantic, and today I'm going to sort of talk about Dungeon 23. I'm sure that most people who are in the OSR are well aware of what it is. If you're not, it's quite simply a movement that's going on where people are challenging themselves to every day of the year of 2023 create a room for a dungeon and key it out. And then the idea is that by the end of the year, you've got 365 rooms. You've got a whole mega dungeon. Now, I decided I wanted to participate in this as well. A lot of people are. And I mean, the irony is that I was already wanting to, and I already had like ideas and everything. I'm sure that most people who've been DMing for some time have some stuff they've been kicking around, and I'm no exception to that. But I really wasn't actually sitting down and doing it. And this was kind of a nice contextualization of how I could start doing my efforts, because what I tended to do is I tended to think like of an entire floor at a time whenever I build dungeons. I really want to do like a whole floor, so I feel like I've accomplished a lot. Wow, look at all the stuff I did. But in this, the way that it was put, laid out, I was like, you know what, maybe I could try things a little bit different. So what am I doing here? Well, part of the challenge is actually they want you to do it in an actual journal, and they want it to be 12 floors. And ultimately, it would end up being about 30 rooms per floor, etc. So it's a lot more structured than what I'm doing here. I'm kind of doing my own thing in a way, but I'm kind of just going to be doing a room a day until I feel like it's done. And as far as how many rooms per level, I'm not putting any solid number on that. I'm just doing as many as I think fit properly, at least with what I'm wanting to do. And I'm using Dungeon Map Doodler to do it. I may come to regret that later. We'll find out. I haven't been able to put this to the test when it comes to multiple floors, but let me show you what I'm doing here. So, I've put some rooms together. So this is actually what I did on the very first day. Instead of just doing one room, I just decided to go ahead and do like the structure of the first floor, because all that really didn't take all that much time. It's just, take this little thing over here and just make some rooms. So I made my entry corridor, and then I decided to, make some rooms that branch off of that. I made my stairwell, because of course we're going to need to go down somewhere. And then from there, I was like, well, I want to have some more corridors that go around, have some more doors, some locked doors. And then we're going to have some tunnels, because I like to have little tunnels for things, especially on like the first floor of something. Because maybe there have been creatures that have been burrowing around. Maybe there are demi-humans like kobolds that have been digging tunnels. Many reasons that this could be used, but there is a particular creature I have in mind. Actually, several types of creatures that can make use of these tunnels in ways where they can get around all kinds of things without having to use doors. And then that was all the first day. So the first day I did pretty much that. Maybe the second day was whenever I finished all these little tunnels. And then after that, then I started to key things in. And I've just been, maybe one day I get two done, maybe another day I get, one done. It just kind of depends on how much I've got going on, because work is crazy sometimes it's not so crazy. Life gets in the way sometimes it doesn't. And so I'm just kind of going with the flow things here, but trying to keep myself on this steady pace. And so far, so good, as you can see. I mean, we are on day 8 of the year, and I think I started on the first or the second. So I'm about on pace. But what I did was I created the first level map, and I'm trying, I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm trying to use the layers on here to be able to have multiple levels that so I could just like say, well, I don't want to have the first floor. I just want to look at the second floor, B1. So now I can see where the stairs go down, and now I can see where this trap door goes, this one right here, which those should be lined up. Yeah, those are lined up. I'm not sure if it's actually going to work that way because I have loaded this back up and then it seemed to combine them. It seemed to combine it back down to one layer. But whenever I created the second layer, I didn't actually put anything on it. So I'm wondering if maybe it realized that, hey, you didn't actually do anything here and it just erased it. I'm not really sure. I'm hoping I can use it that way. If I can't use it that way, then I'll just have multiple levels and that's it. So I have, as you can see here, I have something of a coordinate system that I'm using, but I'm not using the coordinate system to label rooms. I'm using it just to keep track of where, if they were to dig straight down from this spot right here, where would they be? And from there, it looks like they would be at S16. So then I could go down to the next floor on S16 and see what's down there. And it's just that easy. Just a good way for me to know exactly what's beneath them, because I like playing with verticality in dungeons, especially whenever I have pits and things like that. And I like to know just exactly what's above this, what's under this. That's one of the things I really, really like doing. And that makes it a lot easier to do that. So I'm not actually, in my keying, I'm not actually using those except for to refer to specific coordinates in the middle of a room description. So let's have a look at my my room description stuff right now. I just need to switch what I'm sharing real quick. Just a second. And here we go. So as you can see here, I'm using Google Docs in order to do this. Google Docs is something I use for anything that I can reasonably manage, just because I can pull things up on my phone. I can, pull it up on my computer, and it's just really easy and free. Even though I do have Word and all that, it's just easy. So what I started with, actually, this was the other thing that I did the first couple days, was I started by just trying to consolidate the background information into a useful way. And to me, the most useful thing that I can do is think about, what was this place a long time ago, if it does have a long-term history. And if it doesn't, then what was here before it got here? Because usually there's some kind of context going on, especially when we're talking about dungeons, that can shape how the rest of our ideas are going to flow out. So for me, what I wanted to do with this one is, this is a place where a goddess of life from the past was sealed away. It was a place of her worship. The gods that were the kind of the new pantheon that arose from people that were distraught by her kind of chaotic way of life, the way that she would sprout out all these strange life forms and fill the planet with these deadly plants and things like this, that made everything beautiful and colorful and vivid, but at the same time made things unpredictable and wild and untamable. People got sick of that, and they rose their gods up. Their gods banded together and imprisoned her in this place that is her temple. But she still lives. She still lives. Her worship continues to a very, very small degree, but she's a lot weaker. And she's still inside this place. And because she has control over creation and all these different aspects, then she has all kinds of bizarre things that she can do. She can sprout life out of nowhere. She can take souls and manipulate where they're going. She can make gemstones, formulate almost immediately. She has all kinds of incredible powers, but she's confined to a very strict space. And so now, in the more recent past, you have people learning that she exists because they are rediscovering lost land that was overcome by demi-humans and more monsters than anything else. They've been working their way through, and then now they find this temple in the forest that's overgrown primarily. There's all kinds of really cool stuff inside, and these rangers are finding out about it, reporting it back, and people are wanting to explore to see what kind of riches they can find. And now that in the present, word is going out and people are coming. So what this means is that the player characters have the opportunity to be some of the first people to really step foot in this place and see what they can do with it. But the longer that they dilly-dally, the idea is that more and more rival adventuring parties of greater and greater ability will continue pouring in. So those are some of the things that I'm wanting to have running on in the background, is these pre-formulated rival adventuring parties with their own particular alignments and desires and things like that, that can become rivals for them to deal with. And in the middle of this place, it's not terribly unlikely that they might end up having some kind of a territory dispute. Hey, that's my treasure. We worked that our way there all last week. How dare you come by and take over our progress? Something that's a lot more easy to replicate whenever you have the big, the regular multiple groups kind of situation, back in ye olden days. And then I have near future. I think near future is also important. That's me basically putting a timeline for what kinds of things are going to unfold should the players not get involved. And for the most part, what's going to happen is as more people flow into this place, they're going to see just how incredible her powers are. And they're going to want to believe in her. They're going to want to spread the word of Elitha. And then it's going to give her more power. She's going to get enough influence to break free of this place, which, by the way, the seal that's been placed here from the former gods, those gods are dead kaput. Their power still remains, but it's fading. And so this means that she has the opportunity to make a resurgence. And that means that the people that are in charge, the current pantheon that's going on, would naturally have an issue with things developing, things growing. So we might be dealing with religious warfare and stuff like that. So here I just, I put the map directly into the document just because it's really easy for me to just do this, especially if I'm not at my computer. I can just, because, I have my maps on my computer primarily. I keep the maps in one place, but then the doc, I keep it everywhere. So I can just update the map in the document. And whenever I'm out and about, if I think of something I can do to, key a new room, then, all I have to do is scroll up, look at the room, and then scroll down and then start typing. Very, very, very easy. So I've got what happens at the entrance. I don't know how much detail you guys actually want because it is a work in progress. And I don't know how good it is necessarily. I think it's pretty neat. It's got some neat ideas. But I think it might be fun at least to express kind of what I'm going with. Anybody who ends up being my player in this, I'm sorry. Hopefully people that watch this do not become my players, or they have very poor memories. Hopefully that's how it goes. So what I have here is the front entrance is actually going to have a curse on it. It's got inscription. It's got a curse. People don't know that there's, they're gonna believe that there's a curse by reading it, but they might not actually notice any effects. To me, the idea that I had was that there's only a very small % chance that anybody who opens the door actually makes the curse go off. Now, the curse is significant. If the curse goes off, they have to make a save versus spells, or they become blinded. There's a blinding light that it's not just blinding, but it actually devours the flesh of your eyes within 30 hours. And really one of the only ways to get rid of that is to do remove curse or regeneration after they're gone. That's pretty much it. It takes some time to do it. If you remove curse before it's done, it can heal. Probably unrealistic, but whatever. For game purposes, I'm okay with that. There are some ways that they can get access to remove curse. Even at this point, it's just kind of it's a little unwieldy. But that's what we have on the entrance. And once they get in, they've got branching paths here. I love branching paths. The first thing they're going to notice is a hive sitting up here. I mean, I used a little beholder symbol, but I'm using what I have available. But I know what it is. That's the important thing. I know what it is. So we have a hive sitting here with my own custom little monster, and it's creatures that are half bee and half cat. I call them a beeline instead of a feline. And so they are in a hive sitting above this door that is stuck. So if anybody tries to push this door down, then there's a pretty decent chance that the hive will fall off and the things inside will get agitated. So yes, we already have one thing that's kind of dangerous right there. They're not terribly strong, although the queen does have a save or die situation. At least if you fail the save by enough, it is a save or die. Otherwise, they have a poisonous stinger that gives you so much pain, so much pain. I said poisonous, venomous. I'm actually upsetting myself by saying that. A venomous stinger that will cause paralysis for a short period of time. The Queen's, of course, is a lot more potent, and it hurts so bad that it can put you into enough shock that you die. You just have a heart attack. So that is probably the most deadly thing that I've put in in here yet, and it's right whenever they come in. But it's also so visible. It's right there. It's very, very, very visible. It's bright orange. It's big too. It's very big. And it's obviously a hive, and people know not to mess with hives usually. So they're gonna either be creative, maybe set it on fire, probably. That's what everybody wants to do, especially at the beginning of the game. They want to set everything on fire, so it's probably going to get set on fire. Let's be perfectly clear. That's probably what's going to happen to that there. Should they go to the right, we have a pit. It's a pit trap. And then on the other side of the pit trap, we have a blocked door. The reason we have a blocked door is because we have something that likes to sleep here, and it does not like to be disturbed, especially from things that come in. And this is the place that would have the most traffic. Now the pit is going to go. I have not decided exactly how far the pit is going to fall, but I have a suspicion of where I want it to go. The important thing is it takes you down. And the reason I like that is because I like for these kinds of things to happen, because then first off, there's some kind of damage that can occur, which is good. They have somebody who's going to be in some kind of jeopardy. Could be enough to kill a PC. It could be enough to just seriously injure them. But really what I'm aiming for with this is that it's going to be something to keep them alive. That's really what I'm kind of aiming for. And part of that is because of the nature of some of the creatures here. They're not all terrible or anything like that. There's all kinds of different life forms in here because of what this goddess is. Some of them have just moved in from the forest, and some of them have been there for ages, and some of them are things that she just sprouted into existence because that's just what she does. Anyway, so this is really not an actual avenue that you're likely to take. You could take any of these tunnels, assuming that you are very small. I'm not sure whether I'm going to say like halfling size or gnome size is sufficient. I may opt for that, just because it also has the side effect of making it where I can fit larger creatures through them. So good for the goose, good for the gander, right? So that's something that I'm kind of mulling over at this point. So there's a possibility that your halflings, your gnomes could get through this place incredibly easy, even through locked doors, even through blocked doors, stuck doors, all kinds of stuff like that, if you have them in the party. But otherwise, maybe you need to use some kind of shrinking potion, diminu, you know the one. It's the one that makes you small. That potion. Or the reduce spell. Yeah, whichever. Anyway, so that is another thing. So on the left side, which is really the most likely place that I think people will go. Actually, that's not entirely true. There's some people that have we always go right. That way we never get lost. We know exactly which way we went. But, just because I think people are going to easily suss out the trap here and this one here, they're probably mostly going to go to the left. And here we have a portcullis that is raised. It is noticeable if you look up, or if you just happen to do a search. If you just happen to do a search, then you'll see it. Very likely. I came up with, I think it was like a 50% chance if you actually take the time to search here. But I haven't quite settled on that yet. There are pressure plates up here that if you step on the pressure plates, the portcullis will drop. And it is because of the nature of portcullises, it doesn't have a switch over here, anything to raise it back up. That means that you're going to need somebody to lift it, and that is difficult. It requires very strong fighters. So by all accounts, it's very likely that if that thing falls, then your party is going to need to find another way out. And that's whenever we have them having to loop around. I like this kind of use of space here like that. And then, of course, it creates a situation where if they happen to go back around this way, then maybe then they fall in the hole. Maybe maybe they forget about it. Maybe they didn't map very well and they didn't realize that that's where that was. Um, we'll see. That could happen. Um, and there's just a lot of different ways that things could play out. Another thing that could happen, in the way that I designed this on purpose, is that this room right here is actually just one room. It's just been walled right here, because once upon a time people used to worship in this area, of course, and this was kind of where they kept a lot of their scrolls and things like that had the history of the religion. And whenever the people came, the zealots came to take things over, what they did is they walled off this area and then kept some of their vital records right here. Now there's a type of creature that's in here that makes a little bit of noise. So if you're in this room, there's a chance that you can actually hear what's going on in here. And then you'll know that there's a room over there. Otherwise, maybe you'll surmise it just by the fact that there's a big gap here, in your map. Maybe. These are the things I like to play with. So we have that going on. We have a pond with killer frogs, because why not? I've loved them ever since Hamlet. It's been great ever since Hamlet. We have a locked door. And yet again, we have a place where technically a halfling could go through there, but they really won't be able to drag this thing out, this big old chest. So maybe they can stuff their pockets a bit and go back through. But otherwise, they need to pick the lock. And picking the lock means that they're going to be sitting ducks for these killer frogs. By the way, the killer frogs are going to be alerted by the falling of the portcullis. My current thinking right now is that, yeah, that's the dinner bell for them, because of everything that they know from living in this place. They know that whenever that thing closes, there are creatures usually on the other side of this, and they are potentially in a place where they can trap them. Maybe they haven't gotten all the way up here yet. So within a certain amount of rounds, they come forward. This room right here, I have a bell. I'm very, very, very happy about this bell. The bell has significance for the temple. Just like any kind of place of worship, you have a community nearby, you ring the bell, people know to come worship. For this bell, it actually has healing properties if it's rung after somebody reads the inscription on the bell, which is written in an ancient common tongue that nobody really understands except for very, very specific people. Maybe very old elves would understand it, but otherwise, people that are neutral can read it. They can understand the letters enough to make the noises and read it aloud and light it up, but they won't understand what it means. Only the people that actually know ancient common are going to be able to do that. I know that technically alignment language is supposed to be like not exactly a language, but that's how I'm using it. So, that's just how I'm using it. If they happen to ring it after it's lit up, then it heals everyone who hears it 1 hit point. So it's a very, very, very widespread heal, but it only does that once a day. It only does this once a day. And then at the same time, anybody who's within a certain, like I think it's 20 feet is how I have it, they can get an extra 1d4 hit points. And so this is a situation where they find this bell. It looks cool, but it's a giant ass bell. It's 2,500 pounds. They could sell it for scrap, and some may sell it for scrap. Some of them may try and get it identified or something like that. Some of them may try to use it. If they try to use it, they need to use it right in order to get this thing to happen. And even if they use it right, they may not notice the other purpose. I have another purpose for it that's important way down the dungeon that has something to do with the idea of worshiping the deity. And so it's one of the kind of easier ways, if you realize it, to get to the final area of the dungeon. Otherwise, you're going to have to go through a lot more shit. That's just how I have it figured out. I have an herb garden here where druids of third level or higher can tell exactly what the plants are, even though they are ancient. Otherwise, you would probably need a sage that specializes in dealing with these kinds of herbs. And they might be able to identify it to find which ones have curative properties, which ones do not, which ones have the opposite of curative properties. I think I mentioned this, but this is where they burned all those books. There's like this torched stone here. That's really all that they have in here. This one is a swarm of church mice, but except for they're not church mice necessarily. They're actually rats, but they are cleric rats. So they are unnaturally smart to the extent that every 5 of them equals 1 spell level, not spell level. Every 5 of them equals 1 caster level. So if 30 of them are together, they have a 6th level caster. I know it doesn't exactly compute necessarily, but it's how it's working here. So they sing, they do chants and things like that, and they worship and they write and all kinds of stuff like that. I know it's kind of ridiculous, but I like it. I feel like it fits with the theme, these weird creatures. And so they are actually helpful if you are good to them. If you're not good to them, then you're going to get hold personed and then possibly devoured. We'll see. But that's if you even find the room, because the room is, you have to either take a tunnel, you have to break through a wall, you have to break through another wall. You're not getting in there through normal means. So it's a place that's pretty easy to miss. We have this room right here. This is the troll chamber. Yes, troll on the first floor. He is mean. He is tough, and this hatch right here goes down all the way to B4, where we have the troll lair, where we have a bunch of trolls. Something happens to this guy, eventually he will get replaced. Is it really kind of hateful for me to put a troll on this floor? Kind of. But the thing that's kind of the balancing mechanism here is that there are things on here that will help you fight him. It's just that they haven't found a way to kill him because he's so hard to kill. And the things that will help you are right here. Sprites. We have a ton of sprites up here. The sprites like to make mead out of the royal jelly that comes out of this beehive. And so that's what they do when they party the day away. That's what they do most of the time. They have ways to get out and into the forest and do all kinds of things. They have their little arrows that they're making the things that they need in order to make sleep-inducing arrows in this tree, something I got from the 2nd edition Monstrous Manual, which I think is pretty neat. And, they are typically going to try to avoid people. They're not going to want to fight. If you try to steal their stuff, they're going to want to steal it back, but they're only going to want to kill you if you're evil. And the troll is evil, and they know it's evil. So they actually will serve as allies, uneasy allies, but allies nonetheless. And otherwise, they will just try to avoid you. Down here, we have a giant lizard. I love giant lizards. I love lizards, period. And we have a giant lizard in a locked room, but because of, like I said, we've got these tunnels, it has free reign of the place for the most part. It can get into just about any room at once. And every now and then, it gets in scraps with different denizens in this place. But so far, it has managed to stay alive. And I may give it a little bit of extra details, but we also have the corpse of a magic user in here. So somebody didn't make it. There's a few supplies here to make use of. And beyond that, we have empty rooms and rooms that I have yet to fill. So I still have a lot of work to do on this thing, but I'm really loving how it's starting so far. Part of me is thinking maybe I've got too much stuff right at the beginning. Maybe it's too much. Maybe I need to spread it out a little bit. But I kind of want the beginning part to be pretty exciting in a lot of ways. Once they understand the floor, there will be a very, very easy way for them to go down. Of course, one easy way for them to go down is just to literally just walk down these stairs. But, once they deal with the trolls in the future, they can just take this all the way down, to B4, no problem. They can just walk right down to B2. If they don't want to deal with anything, they can just walk right down to B2. Nothing is stopping them unless they happen to roll up a random encounter. And then I have some other paths that I can have them take that will be, other kinds of shortcuts and things like that. So this is what I'm working on right now. I'm really excited about it. I'm having fun. I don't know if I'm going to do a whole lot of updating on how this goes, just because I don't know if anybody cares. But I did want to talk about the project, and I did want to express my enthusiasm for it. So I'm putting some stuff in the description where you can find more tools and things like that you can use to develop your own Dungeon 23 dungeon. So please feel free to check those out. You can look at the original posting. There's just a lot of resources and things like that. And those come from my good friend, the K5K. Thank you very much. People that are on my Discord, I say my Discord, it's our Discord. It's, it's a big Discord. There's a section specifically for Dungeon 23 for us to share what we've done so far. And, so far it's been pretty supportive. So, I'm excited. I'm not talking about the OGL stuff right now. I'm not talking about the article. Everyone knows which article I'm talking about. If they're in the OSR, they probably know which article I'm talking about. I just I felt like this was more important. So that's it for today. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day, wonderful week. Take care of yourselves, and peace out.